I thought it was a good opening week for us in SEC play. I thought we played really well. Start off in Kentucky in the first half. Just simply didn't have enough bodies to sustain the success that we was having there. But I was really pleased with the way our guys dealt with some adversity here against a good ball club against Ole Miss. Our pass, we've always had some adversity against old teams and kind of folded. And when they went on either a 12-0 or 14-0 run in the second half there, and we were able to still pull that game out, I thought it showed some growth and maturity with our guys. Now the key is getting our guys to come back down and get ready to go and compete against Alabama, who does some things that give us problems. They press in the backcourt, and we got to not turn the ball over. And it looks like they've been playing a lot of zone as well too. So those are two things we'll have to combat. But the biggest thing is getting our guys back in the mindset of going in and compete.
When you look back on the film, Ole Miss, and you meet with your team, where do you kind of get them focused on it to the point of, hey, this is what we did well?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not going to do anything with Ole Miss at this point in time because we have such a quick turnaround. So what I'm going to do is just wait and show them the next time we play Ole Miss, we can use a fresh film there. So we're just going to move on right away to Alabama.
What did you think they did well on that you want to harp on?
Well, I think the biggest thing is we found a way to deal with adversity. We didn't drop our heads and stop competing. We weren't able to score the basketball, and they went on that big run. But also, we continued to drive the basketball. We didn't get caught up in the fact that we're not making shots. We continue to put our head down and drive the ball and get into the paint and have some positive things happen from our ability to drive the basketball.
With the close proximity to Alabama, how will you kind of handle travel? Will you go over Wednesday or will you go over the night before?
We'll treat it just the same. We'll leave on Tuesday.
You talk about that adversity. It seems like I.J. Ruddy's the guy. Whenever there's situations like that or late in games, even if he's had a bad game previously, those are sort of his moments to step up, which is impressive for a freshman.
Yeah, I mean, he has some attributes that are really uncommon for a freshman. His calmness on the court, his ability to not get wrapped up in himself, to continue to think about the team when an adversity sets in. He just got some things about him that makes him a winner. He's got a calmness to him. It's kind of like, being a quarterback. You don't want the quarterback to be a crazy guy who's all over the place. You want a calm, collected guy like a Joe Montana. And that's what IJ is. He's calm, cool, and collected, and has been in so many tense moments that it really doesn't bother him.
I think you talked about some of that when, even just when he signed, you were saying he seemed like he was going to be that kind of guy. When did you figure that out about him and realize that's, who he was?
Well, when you go first watch him play, AAU has some stiff competition there. You get a chance to see him play in those moments, and those moments really didn't affect him. And as I continue to go back and watch him, and then obviously having Wes Flanagan on staff and him, Al being his father, getting a chance to know all about IJ really helps that situation as well too. But you can just see it right away with him.
Speaking of IJ, he's got a tough matchup with Relaford on Wednesday night. Just talking about that matchup between the point guards.
Well, you're assuming that's going to be the matchup, so I don't really know for sure, how we're going to match that up here. But I think whoever's going to guard Trevor Relaford's got to be prepared to play defense for the whole time because he just never quits trying to score the basketball. He's a guy that's been a prolific scorer for them, really since he set foot on campus. And he's the guy who, when they need a bucket, they go to him. So, and it's not just the fact that he's one-on-one. They send him off of ball screens. They send him off of screens for cut, off the ball. And I think the thing he's doing a lot better now is he's making three-point shots. Usually, guy just playing for the drive a little bit and letting him dive with the three. But he's making a good percentage from the three-point line as well, too. So I think he's averaging 22 points a game these past 4 games, and I think 18 and a half for the season. So he's a prolific scorer for them.
Can you just talk about how Rockwez has developed in his past couple of years? When he came in, he was more of just a role player. A lot of people didn't know what he could do well, but he's becoming a scorer. He's becoming a defender. You just talk about just how he's progressed in his first 2 years.
Yeah, I think the thing you got to be careful about, and this is what happened to Rockwez at the beginning of last season, he had some early success scoring the basketball. And then he kind of went away from who he is. And at the end of the day, what Rockwez is, he's an energy guy. And he scores his points off his energy. So now we can't get into this pigeonhole where Rockwez is a scorer. Now, the reason why he's scoring is because he's so active. And so as long as he continues to understand that, we continue to put him in situations where we're relying on his activity to get him points, and he's going to be a good basketball player. But Rockwell's skill level is a thing that's increased. He used to not be able to go left at all, not finish with his left, and not be able to make a 15-foot shot. He continues to develop those things. And, you know, I think with his athleticism and his toughness and the competitiveness, you know, I think it's a shame if you don't try to develop the skill part of it.
Going back to your recruitment of Colin, just what was it that you saw about him that kind of wanted to make you bring him in here?
Oh, it's definitely all the tattoos. And we, just, we need a guy with sleeves like that in here. No, it was, you know, the skill level. At that 4 spot, I think if you have a guy who can dribble, pass, and shoot, I think it becomes a matchup problem for other teams, and it puts them in a bind on what to do with inside-outside players with the versatility that Colin has. So what we wanted to do when I saw him, I saw a guy who can make threes, I saw a guy who was a good passer. I think that kind of gets lost in the shuffle at times about how good of a passer that Colin is. And so we wanted somebody like that who was a matchup problem. The key to that, though, is when you find a guy like that offensively that's a matchup problem, is he willing to put his nose in there and defend against tough physical power forwards? And that's the thing you just don't know in the recruiting process.
I know you don't have a whole lot of seniors on this team, and he's just in his second year, but is he able to provide a little bit of leadership just being an older guy?
Well, I think so. He was named, you know, captain when we had the team vote on it. You know, those guys had enough respect for him to name him team captain. And I told those guys before they started voting, just don't vote somebody because they're senior. You know, vote somebody because you think they deserve it, and it's two, that you respect them.
You look at a guy like Relaford, been there 4 years and improved each year. As a coach who's trying to like build a program too, how important are those guys that, you know, stay the 4 years and improve upon each year?
I think it's key, and I've known Trevor for a long time. Him being from my hometown there in Kansas City, I got a chance to see him play a lot. And we actually recruited him a little bit when I was at Purdue, but we just wasn't needed for a point guard at that point in time. But he's a kid that's continued to get better as a basketball player, and I think he's starting to understand how to use his teammates more. And I think that when he first got there, it was kind of more one-on-one. Now his ability to come off of ball screens, to come off of down screens, to come off of back screens, and create opportunities not just for himself but for others too. You've seen a maturation in his game.
At the beginning of the year, you talked about the importance of getting out on the perimeter and defending three-point shot and keeping those percentages low. The other night, I think Ole Miss was under 40%. Are you kind of starting to see the defense kind of come around and learn your defense a little more and produce?
Yeah, I think our guys are starting to get it a little bit. And, you know, I thought that they hit some tough threes. I thought the first 2 threes that Millinghouse hit in that first half to start off the game, I thought they were contested shots. And then I think Snoop White was shooting maybe 27% from the three-point line. He hit a lot of threes against us, too, and I thought they were guarded threes, too. So some of those, a little bit of that is an anomaly. But I thought our guys did a pretty good job of contesting threes. You know, I told our guys what we want contested jump shots. We just don't want people in our paint, but we don't want to just give up open looks from the 3 or open looks from the 2. We want contested shots.
You have an update on Deron J. Wilson?
No update.
Do you have any idea when you will have some kind of update?
I plan on sitting down and talking with Dan and talking to Bear and coming to a conclusion. I just want what's best for Bear. I just want to make sure we're being fair to him academically and being fair to him what he can do as a wide receiver for the football team. Because at the end of the day, I think that's where his future lies. And we don't want to do anything to hurt his development as a big-time wide receiver in the SEC and for Mississippi State football, first and foremost.
Is there a timetable though?
A timetable for me to talk to him?
Yeah.
Well, his school started today, and he just got back, so you know, I'm going to sit down and talk to him after classes here, and I'm going to sit down and talk to Dan, and I don't know if that'll be a conclusion or not, but, you know, at least we'll sit down and talk.
You've had situations like that in the past. How did guys like that help the team? Because he can't practice with you during the fall.
It's hard on the kid because, I mean, those other guys got like a 3 to 4 month jump head start on them. But I think that if this does happen, Bear can help us in that role as an emergency forward. We're in a situation where 2 of our big guys had 2 fouls early in the first half. We just don't have anybody else with size that can fill that emergency role for us at the 4 spot. So I think that's a situation where Bear, that's his natural position. He played in high school, was a 4-man. I think he can matriculate to play that here if we need him in that emergency role.
What's his strengths as a player?
Oh, he just plays hard. I mean, like most football players, he's got some toughness to him. He's not afraid of physical contact. He's a strong kid. But as far as like what he can do on a basketball court at the collegiate level, I just don't know that yet because he hasn't done it.
You mentioned foul trouble. Ware got through the first TV timeout with no fouls the other day. He's limiting a lot of his personals. He may not be scoring a lot of points, but it doesn't seem to be because he's not aggressive. He just seems more selective out there in what he's trying to do and when he chooses to attack.
Yeah, and I think the biggest problem, though, is everybody's packing it in. I mean, I think Ole Miss played zone for down the amount of time, and then when they did play man, they're not guarding some of our guys, and I don't see that's going to change unless we play an aggressive team that likes to get out and pressure the basketball. So we got to find a way to try to get Gavin looks, and I think at the end of the day, the only way we're really going to get him looks is if people start making some shots.
Talked a little bit earlier today about how the break helped free throw shooting, the shooting. How do you try to continue that without having a double session?
Yeah, you want to be careful with your guys because it's a catch-22. You want them to get better as basketball players, but you also don't want to wear them out, especially with school starting here. So we're going to continue to have those guys come in and shoot some extra free throws. It's just a matter of when and really getting a read of your team. You know, sometimes when you're in practice, you can tell guys just don't have it that day, so maybe we'll shut it down and just shoot free throws. But we got to continue to get those guys extra reps at the free throw line because I think it's really paid dividends for us. I believe that we've jumped in the past 4 games. Our free throw percentage as a team has jumped 8%, and I'm pretty sure that Chicken is shooting somewhere like 87 or 86% from the free throw line here in these 2 SEC games, where he was shooting just 63% in the non-conference. So we've got to make sure, if we're going to have this mentality of driving the basketball and some of these guys getting to the free throw line, we got to find a way to get the time in for those guys to shoot free throws so that it pays off.
Coach, I know you already commented on this, but dancing in the locker room after the game, is that something that you could have envisioned yourself doing with this team before the season started? And was that, how great, I guess, was it to share that kind of moment with your guys at this point in the season?
Well, I don't know if you ever envisioned anything like that. It was just kind of spur of the moment here. The guys had it all set up. You know, I walked in and they started playing the music and started dancing. So I had flashbacks there, and like I was in a club and I started dancing a little bit. So I just think it was a spontaneous thing. I think it was fun. I don't think you can ever plan anything out like that. So it was the biggest thing is our guys were not just excited to beat Ole Miss, but they were excited with the fact they won 11 games already when they won 10 last year. So I think it's a combination of those two, and I'm just really happy that our guys are having fun playing basketball.
Is that a key to keep them in that kind of mindset that, hey, this is fun, hey, we're seeing success in this can continue?
Yeah, the one thing you want your guys to like understand, they have to put in time, that this is somewhat of a job and there's some chores to it, but you also want to see young men having fun doing what they're supposed to love to do, which is play basketball.